Hey, you guys. I know you never know what you're going to get on my channel. We're talking about holistic health or spiritual wholeness, but since wholeness does entail every parts of our life, every area, or family, friends, fitness, finances, whatever, today I am going to talk about parenting. I had a few discussions with a few moms recently, actually always, but most recently, and I actually journaled about it a couple days ago, and I'm going to read some of my notes. Stay with me. I know some of you guys might get your little feelings hurt or pulling some strings with some people, but stick with me to the end, okay? I promise there's going to be a positive message at the end. So we're going to talk about being overwhelmed as a parent. I'm going to keep it real. Single parenting can sometimes feel like it sucks. And just so that I don't traumatize any kids out there of single parents, especially my kids, I'm talking about the role of being a single parent can sometimes feel like it sucks, and not our kids, okay? So I've been married before, so I've been on both sides of the fence, and parenting and marriage, it still has its challenges and limitations. But being on this side of the fence as a single parent, I can say that this end definitely has more challenges when it comes to time, tasks involved that you have to do, or even all three: time, task, and financial. Which is why I really don't understand how some parents who have the other parent, I call that co-parenting, whether you're married, you're separated, or divorced, gets to complain that they're overwhelmed. And in here, again, in my journal entries, when I refer to single parents, I'm referring to widows or singles because the other parent is dead or incarcerated, or they're a deadbeat parent, or maybe you have some kind of legal battle going on, like a restraining order or something, okay? So that's what I mean by single. Single not because you're separated or divorced. If both parents are alive and able to parent, I didn't say willing, but able to parent, then that is co-parenting, regardless of your status of being together. So what are you guys overwhelmed for? Like you missed yoga or Pilates class because your wife or husband didn't want to take the 3 a.m. Diaper duty shift, or the delivery takeout came late, or maybe you're overwhelmed because you couldn't go shopping without a limit, or overwhelmed because the nanny called in sick. What? Tell me, people. Overwhelmed because of the traffic on the way to work, overwhelmed because you had to clean 3, 5, 10,000 square foot home. How about you downsize and manage your lifestyle, because that has nothing to do with parenting. That's your lifestyle. Okay, that's another topic. Okay, anyways. Okay, what else are you guys overwhelmed for? Because you had to deal with dirty diapers all day, sleepless nights, leaking bottles, projectile vomits on your shirt daily, and you just want to bury your head basically in a lullaby. So that's why you're overwhelmed, kind of like the movie Tully. I get it, really, seriously. Do you know what it's like to be on this side of the fence, being a single parent, where you have to be both the provider and the nurturer of your family? I mean, don't get me wrong, whether it's the man or the woman that gets to go to work while the other person stays at home to raise the kids, or both parents working, I believe both individuals should be a parent. That means you divide and conquer, and you tag team in parenting. A mother should be a mother to their children, not just an egg donor or a bill payer. And the same goes with the father. The father should be a father to their children, not just a sperm donor or a bill payer. If God created man and woman, all of us in his full image, doesn't it take the full image to raise a child? So if you are co-parenting, whether you're married, you're separated, or divorced, have a conversation with that other parent on delegating some responsibilities and managing expectations, and work together as a team. I get it. Parenting period can be overwhelming, but the next time you get really overwhelmed, ask a single parent if you can help them instead, to kind of take the focus off you, and try putting on our shoes to see what it really means to be overwhelmed. So we don't like, if you're co-parenting, we don't get to divide and conquer and tag team on who gets to take the kids to school today versus who's going to make their lunches for the next day. We actually have to do both, or actually all. We have to go to work, we have to cook, we have to clean, shuttle the kids back and forth to school and their activities. Oh, on top of all this, still run the household, like who's going to change the oil in the car? Who's going to get the house appraised now that we're going to sell it? Who's going to get the will and trust in place for our family? In the midst of all this, figure out some of our self-care time, because when the whole house goes down, when we go down, the whole house goes down, basically. I remember, just to sidetrack a little bit, I remember a long time ago when I got sick for a couple days. I think I shared this in my story in one of my books. I literally had to call 5 to 6 different people for one day that I was sick, to help with my normal routine when my kids were smaller. And yet I hear parents who are married and they get to complain about the other person being clueless on what to do. I don't get it. Seriously, you need to have a conversation with your spouse for some help. Again, manage those expectations and delegate some responsibilities and duties. So I can't possibly list every single challenge and limitations here as a single parent, but here's a quick preview, just so you guys can see our perspective, at least my perspective. And I hope it will shed some light, and hopefully if you're co-parenting, you will appreciate the other person more. So here's one, or I think I have 2 examples in my journal here. One day, I got an invitation for an informational meeting for a position that I was interested in. And after this meeting, it turned not only to an interview, but they also wanted me to come back for a second interview. So on the way home, you would have probably assumed that I would have been excited for this opportunity. Well, to be honest, I cried when I drove home. I prayed and cried because I truly felt sad. I felt that while I was working for my kids, who was actually going to take care of my kids? You see, the position that this was for required long shifts, like 10-hour-day shifts, plus the commute was 1 hour each way without traffic. And if you live in Southern California, there's no such thing as traffic, okay? I can guarantee you 2 things living here. It's the sun and traffic, okay? Anyways, so basically, if we do basic math, that's 12 hours a day that I'd have to be away from my kids just for this particular position. So as a single mom, I have to make decisions that are best for my children and not just my personal gain or my personal career or my business. I don't have a spouse to rely on who's going to take the kids to and from school, their activities, their doctor's appointment, dentist appointments, and all that, or shopping for their first dance or football games. And just because your spouse works and you stay at home does not mean that they cannot, help. Sorry, that's not an excuse. That's not a free pass from parenting. You don't get to clock out. When I was married, my husband and I both worked in the corporate world, very, very competitive, hard work, and we both had obviously our kids at the time, and we shared all the duties, both paying the bills, taking care of the house, raising our kids as a team together. And as for picking your battles, we as single parents, we don't get to pick our battles and tantrums. We don't get to opt out and say, oh, sorry, go talk to your dad. A case in point, a couple days ago, I'll share a quick example here. This was last weekend. So a few days ago, my son wanted to take his, he took his Wii and his PlayStation into, what's one of that game place, GameStop or something, whatever. And he wanted to trade it in for a used Xbox. So he brought out all of his equipment, the controllers, games, and whatnot. And I think he was like $60 short. So he was disappointed, right? I didn't get to pick my battles and say, go talk to your dad about this. I don't want to handle this. I'm already stressed out with other stuff. But you know what? I had to step into my role as a parent and give them some life lessons on, okay, what can you do to make up the difference in weight? And here, let's set some goals and let's see how I can help you. blah, 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 and all this big lecture, instead of me dealing with my own internal shadows. Because growing up, I know what it feels like as a kid when your parents say no, because when my parents said no when I was growing up, it was like no, end of story. It wasn't like no for later on or not yet. It was just a period no. So I was having to deal with my own traumatic childhood stuff that came up, my own shadows, but no, I was able to, keep my composure as a parent and really help him think through this and still recognize his emotions of being sad and disappointed. So I had to make a list on ways he can come up with the $60 that he needed, which he did. He finally, actually, I have the list here somewhere. And actually, the very next day, he found $30 he already had, because I've been, teaching my kids on giving, saving, and spending, the envelope system. And he forgot about the $30 that he had saved. So realistically, he was only $30 away. So he made his list here on ways he could come up with the difference. And I wanted him to write down what he learned, felt, and experienced through all this. And I'll just read here. I learned that I have to wait to get some things. I also can't get everything when I want it. Also, I have to earn it. I have to have patience and wait. And I can't give up, and I have to persevere. I feel like I should be able to get help by the Xbox. I feel I should get paid for money doing my chores every day. I shouldn't get sad or mad because I didn't get it as soon as I want. So I actually wanted to instill life lessons at that moment of setting goals, what it feels like to be disappointed. You know what? When you grow up, you're going to face disappointment and challenges. You're not going to have everything, but let's work through a solution. These feelings that he wrote down, they're valid. I wasn't trying to say don't cry, don't be sad. Yes, you're sad and angry or upset, but let's work through them, because I want my kids to learn perseverance. I want my kids to learn patience and to be patient, to set goals, to value work, to value money. Okay, anyways, I know I'm sidetracking, but my point is that we don't get to pick our battles. When he was having his little tantrum at the mall, I could have just easily said, go talk to your dad or whatever, right? And I had to deal with my own issues of my own shadow coming up from my childhood. So again, being a single parent, we don't get to choose. We've got all the battles. So next time I hear somebody complain that you're so overwhelmed and it's so hard being, a parent, and then you're overwhelmed, who is not a single parent, I really don't know what I'm going to do. Like, come on, people, come on. Okay, come on. I'm losing my focus here. Like, really, did you miss your massage appointment or what? The baby kept waking up every hour? Your spouse didn't want to help to get up? Okay. I know I'm going on. Oh, one more thing, because somebody did bring this up. Like, what about your spouse that's always at work and traveling? I'm like, sorry, that is not single parenting. That still doesn't count. At least you have one person that's making the money and bringing home the bacon. That's up to you to talk about dual parenting, okay? We as single parents, it's just us. It's just me, myself, and I, okay? We're always it. We don't get to tag team and say you're it. We're it all the time. So I have actually even heard a story, I can't remember who this was from, but they said it was actually better now that they're divorced, because before, as a couple, one person always felt challenged with their parenting, that, well, I'm always at home, or whether they're at home or at work, and the person's always traveling at work. It's better now. Basically, they're trying to say it's better now that they're divorced, because their parenting was finalized. Like, when they switched weekends, like, you get the kid this weekend, I get the kid this weekend, it was formalized on who's going to be the parent that week and whose turn and who has the responsibility of caring for that child. I mean, that kind of sucks, right? I mean, do you want to get to that point of your marriage and parenting, to get to that point where you're divorced and the kid now has to live between two different households? Something to think about if you're married. All I'm saying, as a single parent, if you're co-parenting, from that end, appreciate the fact that you have someone that can help you, because again, being here, as a single parent, keeping it real, we are all alone. And sometimes it feels like we're alone because it is overwhelming. So if you're a single mom out there, I know there's single dads, but just speaking from my end as a mom, know that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to receive help. It's okay to take some me time. It's not selfish to take some me time and to create some boundaries, because our time and energy is already, overextended. But know that our Heavenly Father, Abba, that promises to be the father to the fatherless and the protector of widows. He stands with us. We're never really alone. I surely stood on this promise as a witness to that truth. Being a single parent is the hardest job in the world, but I'm sure, it's the most successful and rewarding at some point in between those challenges and limitations, kind of like that Xbox story that I shared with life lessons, but both for me and as a parent and for my kids. And luckily my daughter was also there with us to be able to pick up on the conversation that I was trying to instill in my son and some life lessons, because those life lessons are gonna last forever. It's gonna last, longer than the actual moments or the Xbox itself. What else did I wanted to leave you guys with? What else did I write in here? Oh, the single moms. You really are the true not just Wonder Woman, but Wonder Woman mom out there. So I encourage you to keep persevering. I know it's tough. And just keep at it. And for those parents that have the other parent, whether you're single, because you're divorced or you're married, whatever, as long as you have a parent out there, the other parent that's available, have that conversation. Be grateful that they're there. Be grateful that they're working and you don't have to work. Or even if both of you guys are working, work out a plan where you guys can tag team and work together. Divide and conquer. Do what it takes. But please save me the story of how overwhelmed you are, okay? It'll be okay when you have your next massage appointment, or the house cleaner comes, cleans your house, or the nanny comes, or the cook comes, or whatever. But please, no more stories on how overwhelmed you are unless you're in our shoes. All right? Bye for now.